What's going on, guys? I'm Renegade. Now, I'm going to start this video off by telling you a little story. Brief one. See, I once knew a girl, and she took her car to go get a tune-up. The mechanic charged her $900. The reason, he explained, was that the spark plugs were on the four corners of the engine. Well, that's funny, because it was an inline four, which meant they were all in a line. The point of the story is not how much of a douche the mechanic was, although it's a small part. The point of the story is ignorance costs you. Now, I've been working on cars for pretty close to 2 decades. So I kind of know how a lot of this goes. However, certain things are very, very simple. A tune-up, for instance, is very simple to do. You don't need to be a genius mechanic. These mechanics are getting paid an exorbitant amount of money because, and no offense to a lot of people, but they're ignorant. They don't know. You have to pardon the plane over my head. Ugh. People are ignorant. They don't know, therefore they'll pay more for somebody who supposedly knows. But why do that if it's so simple that you can do it yourself? So I wanted to make a video, and possibly a few videos, teaching how to do basic mechanic work. Because there's no point in paying an exorbitant amount of money to do something as simple as a tune-up. So that's what this video is. This video is how to do a tune-up. Now I have the lovely Miss Stephanie's 2015 Chevy Cruze. For those of you who know me, you know I'm not a huge fan of cars like this, but it's a modern car. And chances are good, if you're watching this video and learning how to do a tune-up on your car, you have something very similar to this. That's why it's a perfect example. Well, plus that, and this car needs a tune-up. So, hey, timing. So I'm actually going to teach Stephanie how to do a tune-up on this car. I'm going to take you guys along for it. This way, you all can learn too. Now, I'll take the time to say now, if you're new here, you're not a subscriber, please remember to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so you get notified when I upload a new video. If you like this video and you want to see more videos like this, do me a favor, tell me down in the comments and maybe give me suggestions of things that you want to see how to actually do. A more step-by-step process than what I normally do. And obviously in this video, Stephanie's going to be the one doing all the work because I still can't grasp a wrench. So, yeah. Now, before we get into, you need a garage and you need a vast bunch of tools to do this. We are doing this at her house. We are nowhere near my garage. I only have some basic tools with me. Stuff that is nothing special, really. I always suggest having basic tools. Now this is the stuff that lives in my car because I'm crazy and paranoid. Got a basic socket set, got a ratchet. This is a ratchet. Ratchet is not a term for gross and nasty, it's a tool. I got a ratchet, I got an extender for the ratchet, some wrenches, pliers, Phillips and flathead screwdriver, and a spark plug socket for the ratchet. It's also on an extender, but it's stuck that way because, well, it's old. In terms of parts, a tune-up like this is very simple. Basically, you're gonna need spark plugs. Go to your local auto parts store and ask them for the spark plugs for your model vehicle. When you go in, make sure that you know what year, make, and model it is, as well as what engine it is. Different model cars have different engines, so make sure you know which model it is, and which engine model it is, that is. If you're confused, take your VIN number in, and if there are multiple engines, they'll ask you what the engine code is, and it's generally the 8th digit in the VIN number. Yes, the VIN number is actually a fancy coding system. So, I got spark plugs. I got an air filter and Gum Out fuel system cleaner. Keep in mind, I am not sponsored by any of these companies. I'm never sponsored, but I use Gum Out. You can use Lucas if you like it, but I will say that some import vehicles, particularly the European models, don't like Lucas. I know it's touted as being like the best shit on earth, but if I put Lucas in my Volvo, it runs stupid hot. Sure, it cleans everything out, but it runs like shit. I put it in a couple other European cars and same thing. So if you're using a European car, Volkswagen, BMW, Mercedes, Porsche, Volvo, any of the Europeans, maybe don't put Lucas in. That's why I use Gum Out, because it works in all of them. But hey, test what you want and see what happens. We have a very simple spread of things. We got a car, we got a beautiful girl who wants to learn, and let's get to it. All right, so the first thing you're gonna have to do, obviously, you're gonna have to open your hood. Cars are very different, but the hood release should always pretty much be in this area. Come out to your engine, your hood, and there is a release in here that you have to find to undo it. There you go. Some cars will have a prop rod. That's this guy. Ta-da! Now your hood's open. Yes, I'm going through this as though you know nothing. If you know more than this and this is common sense, I do apologize. But there are some people that might be watching it that know zero about this. Some people might be watching it, figuring out how to do this, and not know how to turn a wrench. So if this is too basic for you, I do apologize, but stick with it, please. All right. It's an engine. We won't get into what all these components are, but we'll need to get into the basics, and you can always look at photos and diagrams online to figure out what type of setup you have and where you need to focus. Now, of course, Chevy in modern times uses lots of funky bits. You'll see star bits here and Torx bits here. So obviously, maybe look before you go and start pulling things apart so you make sure you have the tools you need. These are very basic. You can pick them up at a hardware store for easy, for cheap. There you go. Yep. Now we're using a metal catch tray to put things in. This is actually magnetic so that we don't lose the bolts. And obviously I've got random bolts in it because I never clean mine. Don't pay attention to that. All right, so now that's off. You pull this big funky rail right off.
This way?
Yes. On this car, there is a coil rail. These spark plug boots. There is always one spark plug per cylinder. Well, unless you're working on one of those weird Ford Mazda motors that had 2 spark plugs per cylinder because they wanted to be ridiculous. But remember, however many cylinders you have, 1 spark plug. It's the easy way to remember it. Now this car does have a coil, one big coil bar. Now other cars you might see different setups. You might see a distributor cap and rotor, in which you'll need to replace the cap and the rotor. Some cars have individual coils on top of the spark plugs. Some might have one big coil block with spark plug wires going to it. You can always tell where the spark plugs are though by following all the spark plug wires, either from the big coil pack or from the distributor cap. Find the distributor cap or the coil pack, follow the wires, they lead you directly to the spark plugs. You don't actually have to change out coils or coil packs unless they go bad. Spark plug wires, maybe every once in a while. In this case, no spark plug wires to need to switch out. With that out of the way, peer down in, and there you go. 4 spark plugs. Now, You might be wondering what size socket you need to get your spark plugs out. There's an easy way. You went out and you bought brand new spark plugs for your car. Which means you have a box of brand new spark plugs. Take the spark plug out and match it up to spark plug sockets. I've already done that. The spark plug socket, you'll notice, is long. They also generally have a rubber or a magnetic insert to help hold the spark plug while you're trying to put it into position. For those of you who do not know, this is a spark plug. Make sure your ratchet is going in the right direction, always, because the ratchet gremlins like to get a hold of it. Which way is it turning? When you hear a ratchet clicking, that is it freewheeling. So whichever way it doesn't go, that's the way it's turning. In this case, it's turning this way, meaning to the left. And remember, righty-tighty, loosey-lefty. The reason we have an extender is because you see how far down that is? We can't get to it, we can't turn it. And it turns out we're going to need a longer extender. Packs of extenders are very cheap. So you can get multiple sizes. I think I bought one at Walmart not that long ago for like 14 bucks. Came with 3 sizes. Good investment. This may take some muscle strength as these are probably fairly stuck. So grab that end. All right. Put your hand here. Now pull real hard with that one. Yeah, try pushing. There you go. The longer spark plugs have been in, the harder they're going to be to take out. Go ahead and pull the whole unit up.
Oh.
Ta-da!
Yay.
Now this is a dirty, old spark plug. Yummy.
Jeez.
Let us compare.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Okay, now you're not too worried about the threads because the threads are in threads. But this prong and this electrode right in here, I don't know how well you can see it. That electrode, that's what's inside the motor. Yeah, these are it's time for a replacement. Now the way I do it is I take one spark plug out, put the new one in, then move to the next cylinder. This way there's no open ports that don't need to be, because the last thing you want to do is drop something into one of those holes. If you do, we're going fishing with a magnetic pickup, because otherwise it's gonna totally jack up your valves, and that's no good.
Oh.
Jacked valves, bad. The other thing to remember is that most of these heads, you have to pardon us also, it's like really hot out, so if we're sweating, like...
Yeah, that's gross.
Yeah. So, the other thing is that most of these heads, the cylinder head where you pulled your spark plug from, are aluminum. The threads of your spark plug are steel. That means if you put the threads in crooked, it's very easy to destroy the threads in your cylinder head. That's really, really bad, and it's going to cost you a lot of money to get fixed, and it's very difficult, so don't do that. So the easy way to do it is you actually take your extender off of your socket, and now you put that in just with your hand.
Oh.
Righty-tighty, loosey-lefty, and make sure you feel it catching. Yes, there we go. Easy peasy. You can put your ratchet on and tighten it up. How do you know when it's tight? That should be enough. That should be enough. Yeah. Do not over tighten them. Should be to just Yes. Is a very technical torque setting. Yes, there is an appropriate torque setting for your spark plugs. You can look that up, but then you need a torque wrench to actually set said torque rating. Generally, it is snug plus and you're good. That's 1 done out of 3. Keep going. All 4 spark plugs done. What do you think? Fairly easy?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, gotta put the coil rail back on, which just snaps down onto them. There you go. Go ahead and put those bolts back in. Start them by hand. Always start your bolts by hand, because if you start it with something power tooled, which is what we're using because it's just faster, you run the risk of damaging your threads. The same can be said for your lug nuts. Don't put your lug nuts on with an impact gun by putting the nut into the impact socket and then jamming it on, because then you're gonna screw up your threads and then you're in trouble. Yeah, I'm talking to you, Walmart. There you go. That is a basic tune-up. And all there was spark plugs. So then you can just put your cover back on. And that part's done. Now, we will be replacing the air filter as well, because air filters get dirty and need to be replaced every so often. And we'll show you that in a second. Now, I started this GoPro for the overall footage. Can you see it? There you go. 28 minutes and 36 seconds ago. Stephanie has never done a tune-up before. It took her 28 minutes to do all that. It's easy. Same thing, airboxes are all gonna be slightly different. So your setup may differ. In this case, we've got some screws to take off and an air hose to loosen up, possibly if we can't get the airbox cover off entirely. But it's very simple. There you go. This is the air filter that Steph just pulled out. See the crud? If you hold it up to the light, there's barely any light coming through that. Why is it important to swap your air filter? Because your air filter is what allows your car to breathe. It keeps crud, shall we say, from entering your engine. As this gets more covered with stuff, it starts to restrict airflow. Imagine walking around with your COVID mask all the time. Yeah, not fun. So that's what this does. Now if you look, go ahead and hold that up to the light, please. You can see light through it. Sign that that's clean. Dirty, clean. Dirty, clean. Make sure you change your air filter. I generally suggest doing it either after, if you know it hasn't been done in a long time, or I'll generally do it every 2 oil changes. This car has not had a tune-up or its air filter changed in a long time, so we're just gonna do it now. New air filter, new spark plugs. And now you might be asking me, what about the gum out? This gets poured into your gas tank, yes, through the gas filler where you put your gasoline, or where, if you're in New Jersey, stupid Jersey, where the gas attendant puts your gasoline. Dump this in before the gas goes in. Best to do it somewhere between half a tank and empty just before you put it in, just because you want to be able to have it kind of mix with the gasoline as it goes through your fuel system. This will clean out all the crud that might be in your injectors. Your injectors are what actually shoots the gasoline into the engine. They get dirty over time. This cleans them. So good to do every so often. I generally do it every tune-up and every oil change. This way everything stays nice and clean. It's well worth the $8 or whatever it was to get this, to keep it running, and you'll see a slight increase in how your car runs. So what do you think? How difficult was that, really?
It was not difficult at all.
Yeah? Mm-hmm. Would you say that is $900 worth of work that you just did?
No.
Would you pay somebody $900 to do what you just did?
No.
Would you pay somebody to do it now that you just did it and you saw how easy it was?
Hell no. In fact, I think the spark plugs, the air filter, and the gum out came to like almost $70 at AutoZone.
In parts.
And it took like what, a little over half an hour?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. No one should spend that much money on something like that.
See?
Yeah.
And this is why we're doing this video. Of course, now there is one last thing that you have to do when you do a tune-up. You know what that is?
Test it?
Test drive! So one tune-up done. How do you feel about it?
I feel good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Think the car run?
I think so.
Remember, you just did major work according to mechanics.
Yeah, all right.
Go ahead. Let's see if she starts.
Well, it started.
Started. Very simple.
Shit, my God. It's running so much better.
Is it really?
I think so. It feels like it is. It's not as like clunky, it's not bucking, it accelerates. Like I don't have to, you know, cautiously test the gas pedal with my foot every 2 seconds to make sure, you know, we're still moving. Yeah, it's nice. It's so easy.
And see, folks, this is why it's important to do a tune-up. And why, if you're taking your car to a mechanic and they're charging you an astronomical amount of money, you are being screwed. And they're not even buying you dinner. Doing a tune-up on a car is a very easy process, as you just witnessed. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you'll learn. It's very simple. You're more than welcome to use this as a step-by-step guide, but also I'm hoping it gives you some inspiration. Because hey, it's very easy to work on your car. To do the simple things anyways. It's very easy to do the simple things, isn't it? Mm-hmm. And you don't need to pay a ridiculous amount to do it. And if you're interested in working on cars, the best way to do it is to get to doing it. You don't need a super expensive degree or qualifications to do simple things on your car. All it takes is a little courage to start doing it.
Ooh.
Runs a lot better, doesn't it?
Oh my God, yes.
Simple tune-up. Imagine that.
Okay.
So guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed watching Miss Stephanie learn how to work on a car. That's it. If you liked the video, make sure you hit the like button. And if you got ideas of things you'd like to learn how to do on a car in a more step-by-step how-to type of video like this, please let me know down in the comment section. Until next time, y'all have a good one. Keep rocking and rolling. We're gonna keep taking care of business. See you in the next video.